What's going on, my good people?
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to the Bold Women podcast. My name is Maryl Wilson, and I am here with my dear friend, Maria Weiler.
It's me.
She's jacking around with her microphone.
No, there it is.
There
Got it.
She's got it.
Thanks, Byron.
You know, Maria,
What's up, Maryl?
I think you need to tell us something.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys know this or not, but we are on social media.
Whoa.
I know. So we would love if you would follow us. Instagram's kind of our most active one, but we're on Instagram, TikTok.
Barely on TikTok, but yeah, we're there.
The YouTube, if you're feeling YouTube-y.
I'm almost caught up.
Meryl has almost had us.
I've almost got us caught up. Hopefully by the time you hear this, we are completely caught up and it will be.
Shout out to you, Meryl, because I feel like without you, this podcast would not be off the ground. So shout out to you. But yeah, follow us. We post this in your stories. We'll share you back. We'll share it back. We want to know who our listeners are. We want to comment. We want to chat with you.
We will repost is what
we would do. I mean, not share you back.
We would repost.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I think we should really.
I am so excited for today.
I am very excited for today because last week we had questions.
Yeah.
And it was all about strange stories in the Bible.
Yeah.
And we couldn't leave it alone.
No.
Because there's
so
many.
And these are becoming, honestly, one of my favorite shows because
we may have to do another one.
We may have to.
And this may just be part of like the best thing ever, mostly because of our special guest.
Yes.
And we have Byron Dyess here.
The one and only.
The one and only.
What's up, my ladies?
Joining us.
What's up, my ladies? What's up?
One of our favorite people.
I just
one
want
of
to
our
say,
favorate people.
I just want to say we're on the tail end of a couple of good ones. Number one, the Bible stories part one. But number two.
Oh my gosh. The sip.
I'm not sure that was on the list.
I think it was on the list.
But it just made it.
It was mouth noises.
Okay.
Yeah, go back to the last season catch up and you'll know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Meryl's basically list of her life pet peeves and mouth noises.
It was basically just a long-winded way of telling everyone I have
issues.
I was going to say a long-winded way of saying, like, here's how to be a good human being. Yeah. Don't make mouth noises. Don't do.
Yeah.
What not to do.
Byron has his own podcast.
Yeah, he does.
It's called Let's Get to the Bottom of That.
Yes, we do. We've been going strong for over a year. We're up to 85 episodes.
What the heck?
Kicking. Yeah, we're branching out. We're in a lot of countries.
That's awesome.
We just got Botswana and Kosovo. Okay. They came on board, so
they're allowed.
That's crazy.
Welcome to the party.
They're allowed to listen.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's just three weirdos on a mic. Every Friday we drop something that we like to talk about that's weird.
So interesting. I love it.
So this fits in perfectly. Like if you like to talk about weird things,
this episode should definitely be on.
Gonna be right up your alley.
Our radar. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so the last episode. Okay, before we get into some new ones, I needed to revisit an episode that we touched on last time. And that was the story of Elisha. It's an aspect of Elisha's story. If you're not familiar, I've got 2 Kings 2:23 through 24. This is just the main part of his story that I'm talking about. Elisha was a prophet. He took over after Elijah was taken up in a chariot of fire to heaven.
Wow.
What an exit.
Which was a spaceship, by the way, anyway.
Okay. See? That's what Byron says.
You think it was a spaceship?
Come on, there was no chariot. Come on.
They might have called it a chariot.
That's the only way they knew how to describe it.
Yeah, but you think it was a spaceship?
Well, you say spaceship. I'm just saying it was a craft.
Yeah.
It wasn't Ben-Hur going around the Coliseum with a chariot.
Yeah, true.
I just pictured like a chariot made of flames that just went.
That's what they wrote because that's how they described it.
With some heavenly creatures.
Yeah, it was more of a.
I digress.
Anyway.
I was thinking of like heavenly creature, not necessarily like.
Probably. It was
spaceship.
something weird. I can tell you.
That's true.
Okay.
That's true. Okay, so the main verses of concern here in Elisha's story. Elisha left Jericho and went up to Bethel. As he was walking along the road, group of boys from the town began mocking and making fun of him. Go away, Baldy. Elisha turned around and looked at them, and he cursed them in the name of the Lord. Then 2 bears came out of the woods and mauled 42 of them. First of all, that's not a group of boys. That's a mob.
Like, that's a mob. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a freaking
That's
mob.
Antifa.
Yeah.
Well, and could you imagine, like, you're by yourself and you see 42 people just, like,
Kids.
roll up on you?
How annoying. I would be disgusted.
Well,
Annoyed.
sure. I mean, look at the first thing he did.
Yeah.
I'm cussing
Turn
at you,
around,
bro.
Just
Yeah.
looked at them.
And-
Cursed them in the name of the Lord.
In the name of the Lord.
But we also learned that Elisha had no hair
Yeah, he was
from
bald.
this.
It turns out.
Yeah.
Okay, so couple of things. Byron said the last episode we were really immature, but
Well,
And this one,
you know what?
We're
This
probably
is
gonna be
probably
just as
gonna be
immature
even
as well.
worse. So,
it's already taken off.
you know, I like these episodes because we can be a little more, it's a little more lighthearted.
yeah.
You know,
Not
have
so
a
much
little-
pour out your soul.
We're always
Yeah.
doing
Right.
that. We're always doing
We're
that.
not going to make Byron
Sure.
feel emotionally unstable by the time
Listen.
we leave.
Right.
I feel bad for Elisha.
Yeah. Okay.
Ooh.
He was bald.
So something, what? Did you have a comment about Elisha?
I did, real quick.
Go on.
Okay.
Byron, how would you feel
Before I
if
get
you
into this.
didn't have hair and someone said that to you? Because
Byron
Byron
has
has
long,
locks.
he has
Well-
a flowing mane.
Well, I'm
As a man.
I'm built different. And
The
I'm
egg.
built a little different, so that kind of stuff doesn't bother me.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I laugh at myself all the
I
time.
think that everyone should be laughing at
Yeah.
themselves.
So- I think if somebody said that, I would probably pile on to it as well.
Oh, okay.
I'm really good with the self-deprecating
Yeah,
humor.
exa-
I
that's
can
it,
be
that's it right
Tell me
there.
something I don't already know.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
bald. Ooh.
That reminds me of my dog park guy with the bald comment.
What?
Go
I'll
ahead.
get for you.
Yeah, but go ahead. We can go into this.
He said you were bald.
No, I said he was bald. I
Oh.
added to his bald comment, and it didn't go over well.
Oh,
Just
no.
we'll go on now because we really this is.
Well, I mean, we're
this
talking
is
about
a-
bald people.
Yes.
So, wait a minute, is he bald or is he shaving?
I forgot.
So
about
there's a
this.
controversy there.
Yes.
Is
Well-
it shaved or bald?
Hmm?
He shaved because he was
Shaved
balding,
because he was
probably.
balding. Yeah.
He just accepted his fate.
God,
So he had made a
As
co-
he should, and that is advice to any
Sure.
of the 8% of men. If your hair's thinning, just let it go.
Just let it go. It
let
looks
it go.
better.
Say goodbye.
It looks better than
Yeah,
hanging on.
Promise.
But no, he had said something. We were in the dog park, and he had said something like along the lines of, "Oh, it's a lot colder out here for us bald folk," or something. And then
okay.
I'm not thinking that he probably would be offended because I've joked with him before.
He made the joke.
Okay.
He said the joke
He,
first.
the setup is there.
The setup's there, and I
Yep.
said, "Oh yeah, it would be colder for you guys."
And that's not even really it.
That's what I
What?
said back, and he was like, "That was rude," and I was like, and I was like, "Didn't mean to," and then it turned to a whole thing, and
Okay.
well,
Bucko.
Tell him what he
Bu-
said in response, because everyone needs to know.
that's why you've been single for so long.
Yeah.
I've always wondered
Can you
why.
believe this guy? Can you believe this guy?
How does he know?
Because we've had conversations. Like
The-
I've talked to him for a long
okay.
time.
All right. So he know. Okay.
But and then
You just
so
knew
That's
you
why
were
you've been
single,
single
but my
so long.
gosh.
yeah, so
Because of your rudeness.
yeah. Apparently.
okay.
Well, and then then I was like, oh my gosh. So I went up to him a couple days later, and I was like, hey, I'm sorry if that was. And he was like, no, it was fine. I was like, sure, didn't seem like it.
Yeah, because
Dude,
you
that-
went a little too far.
You went
sir.
a little, yeah. And he was like, I'm,
Seriously, because all you did was agree with his statement.
yeah. And it turned into, and I was like, I'm sorry. He's like, no, you're not. He said it a couple times about like, yeah, sheesh.
Okay.
And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
dang.
I'm
that's-
moving dog parks.
Yeah.
But it was, I mean, now it's funny.
Byron.
So anyway,
All right.
Love of all
About
that is
Elisha.
holy.
this is the show.
Okay, yeah.
All right. Elisha.
I read the scripture.
Oh, shoot.
Getting water everywhere. Because we didn't open the
I
bottle
can't-
before everything started.
I did. I was moving my hand with the lid
Tissue.
off, and my hand
you
hit
go.
the bottom of the thing.
Little tissue. Okay.
All right, so
Meryl, get us on
anyway,
track here.
I'm
Come on,
getting us.
Meryl.
I'm trying to reel it in.
She
Okay.
is the anchor.
Do these tissues have lotion in them?
Focus, please. It says
These are
plus
nice.
lotion on the box.
Okay.
Yes.
These
All
are
right.
nice.
You're gonna
Go ahead.
Snapped my fingers like an adult, like a parent or something.
Okay, you're good. I'm focused. Elisha.
Weiler,
Elisha.
Byron.
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm with you.
All right. So I read the scripture about that was referred to last episode about this.
Yeah.
But I recently started following the AI Bible on Instagram. And it kind of just shows like just a different way of viewing like biblical stories. Like one example was like it showed what it possibly would have looked like with like the fire at night leading the people.
I think I follow the same people.
In the wilderness.
What people think is in the Bible, and they show you what really.
Yeah, and then the cloud by day. Like it was just cool. Like it's just neat renderings. Just give you a different way of viewing the Bible. So I came across an illustration of just kind of possibly what Elisha looked like, and of course he was bald. It was an animated character.
Yeah.
And someone in the comments asked, and I don't think this was a believer
on that particular reel.
Yes, okay. on that particular reel about Elisha, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna read this because I went straight to the comments. Of course, I always do.
And you're good at commenting back too.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
So this person said, was that?
I'm done.
Who was it?
It was my throat.
Please tell me we're the only ones that heard that in our ear. Please.
It was my throat. I wasn't trying.
I know.
I wasn't trying.
It's okay.
All right. Everybody on the bus, get back on the bus. All right. We're trying to talk about this.
It was just at the most inopportune moment when you said something to our comments. It got silent, and then there's a little creature gurgling in our ear
that emerged from Maria's throat.
Yes.
All right.
Wow.
Okay. Anyway.
So the AI showed...
The AI Bible page showed an illustration of Elisha and the story, and I think they referenced the scripture in the caption, and someone in the comments asked.
Okay. I can't...
Maria.
It's just me and you, Maryl.
Yeah. Okay.
In the comments.
Someone in the comments asked, was there a reason why the punishment for the, and they put quotes around boys, in this verse was death or a bear attack? I thought God would promote being compassionate. And then they said, as a Christian, I'm just trying to understand why Elisha used bears in this situation. So I'm guessing either a new believer or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. That is a strange story if you're reading it for the first time.
Yeah, it is. It feels a little harsh.
Right. And I myself have been puzzled by this story a lot of times, as we'll go through, some other stories here, I read them and I'm like, why is this in here?
Yeah. Like, what purpose does this serve?
Yeah. So I've always been puzzled by
it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I agree. Like, from the lens of today in this century, like, that's an extreme response to a bunch of degenerate kids being dumb.
Right.
But someone did the homework for me, which I was so glad. I love it when I come across comments and I find the answer in there. And then, let's see, someone did the homework and the possible reason for this, and they provided the following response to the commenter's question, and they basically said, I'm copying and pasting this from what I found. This was like the best description, like the best explanation for this story.
Okay.
And so it said, in attempting to understand this passage, it's essential to consider the context of the time and the significance of respect for prophets in ancient Israelite society. Prophets were seen as representatives of God and were to be honored and respected accordingly. The disrespect shown toward Elisha was not merely teasing, but a rejection of his authority and God's message.
Ooh.
While the severity of the punishment may seem extreme to us today, it's essential to recognize that the cultural and spiritual context of the time differed significantly from our own. Additionally, the bear's attack is depicted as a direct consequence of the boy's actions rather than a premeditated act of violence on Elisha's part. And it's also worth noting that the Bible contains diverse portrayals of God's character, including both mercy and justice. While God is indeed compassionate, he also upholds righteousness and holds people accountable for their actions. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, interpreting this passage requires grappling with challenging questions about divine judgment, human responsibility, and the complexities of ancient cultural norms. And then
Oh, that's
which I thought was really great.
Yeah.
I thought it was super great. It made sense. And then somebody else also commented, remember that God is sovereign, which means he doesn't need to explain himself to anyone. Sometimes we forget that God is all powerful. And then they referenced Isaiah 45:7, which says, I form the light and create darkness. I bring prosperity and create disaster. I, the Lord, do all these things. And then another comment that I had liked was somebody had said Psalm 105:15, which was touch not my anointed and do my prophets no harm. And that was the King Jimmy version.
Yep.
And then they said, without prophets, there is no voice because prophets were God's mouthpiece. God will not be silenced and he certainly will not tolerate disrespect.
So it was, I feel like it was more at God than it was at.
Yes.
Like I'm mocking.
That was
I'm
them mocking
you.
him because he was a direct representative of who God of who God was. That was God's mouthpiece, and they were basically giving the middle finger to God because, again, this is in the Old Testament. This is before Jesus came, and so they don't have the benefit of Jesus advocating on their behalf,
right,
or anything like that. Or they don't have the Holy Spirit with them. So this is what happens.
Well, there's a couple of stories in the New Testament. It's kind of harsh.
They are. There's
a
lot.
I remember
There's actually a lot of
there's a lot of harsh
everywhere.
things in there.
Sapphira and what's their name? The husband and wife team that lied.
Well, that's like because
Are we going into that one today?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think so. We can. That's one we can bring up.
that
But that's
one. Anyway,
one. I
I'm
think
just
that was
saying.
like a premeditated.
We'll have to do that.
I
one
think
in
it's
part
like
3.
the premeditation of it is what's so.
Yeah,
like,
that's
hey,
important.
look,
He wasn't going out. Elisha wasn't walking along saying, "I hope someone bothers me
I can't wait
today.
till these
Yeah.
kids
Can't
come out
wait
here.
to curse
No, my
them."
point is,
There's still some.
It's still, you know what I'm saying? Don't disrespect.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, when I think
Get
of the
the back
verse,
out of here.
I think the verse where it says like, "Do not be deceived. God will not be mocked." Like,
He won't be right.
and that's New Testament, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know where that
Good
reference
question.
is.
It says
We could look it up.
You could look it up.
Oh, well. The scripture I referenced was Psalm 105.
Okay, maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Psalm
So it's
Galatians 6:7.
Galatians 6:7. Do not
Yeah,
be
there you go.
deceived. God will not be mocked.
Yeah.
That is not to be mocked. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good one.
Yeah,
Maria?
so that's just a follow
Follow
up
up
to
on
that
It's
little
a good follow-up.
story. I thought it was good. Brought some probably a much more
Some clarity on it.
Yeah.
to our childish take.
Yes.
Well, the she bears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one I have is also from 2 Kings. I
Oh, you
feel
got
like
one? We're
it's-
getting in?
I feel like
We're
it's
getting
just
into it.
this time period was full of a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
Oh
first
my
and second
gosh.
Kings.
If you guys want
First and second
interesting
Kings
stories,
and Judges.
wow,
Judges.
hang
Forget
out in
about
those
it.
3.
Yeah.
I would have not. I'm glad I live when I live. So this is called the famine in besieged Samaria, and not Samaria, Samaria. And this comes from 2 Kings 6:24 through 33. So I'm going to read that, and then we can hash it.
Okay.
So it says, sometimes later, Ben-Hadad, king of Aram, mobilized his entire army and marched up and laid siege to Samaria. There was a great famine in the city. The siege lasted so long that a donkey's head sold for 80 shekels of silver and a quarter a cab of seed pods at 5 shekels. As the king of Israel was passing by on the wall, a woman cried, "Help me, my lord the king." The king replied, "If the Lord does not help you, where can I get help for you? From the threshing floor? From the winepress?" Then he asked her, "What's the matter?" She answered, "This woman said to me, 'Give up your son so we may eat him today, and tomorrow we'll eat my son.' So we cooked up my son and ate him. The next day I said to her, 'Give up your son so we may eat him,' but she had hid him." So when the king heard the woman's words, he tore his robes and he went along the wall. The people looked and they saw that under his robes he had sackcloth on his body. He said, "May God deal with me, be it ever so severely, in the head of Elisha."
If the head.
Oh, if the head of Elisha, son of Shaphat, remains on his shoulders today. Shaphat. Now Elisha was sitting in his
Shaphat.
house, and his elders were sitting with him. The king sent a messenger ahead, but before he arrived, Elisha said to the elders, "Don't you Elisha?
You said Alicia.
Did I?
Yeah.
Elisha said to the elders, "Don't you see how this murderer is sending someone to cut my head? oh my gosh, send the
Words.
Help us, Lord.
Don't
help
you
us.
see how this murderer is sending someone to cut off my head? Look, when the messenger comes, shut the door and hold it shut against him. It is not the sound of his master's footsteps behind him. While he was still talking to them, the messenger came down to him. The king said, this disaster is from the Lord. Why should I wait for the Lord any longer? But the fact of like, I think, here, let's cut up and eat your son. And then we'll do that to mine the next day.
And then not do it.
And then not do it. Like this woman just murdered her child. And then
to feed other people.
And then
I mean, there was cannibals going on.
there was a ton of cannibals going on.
I was I was hoping you had added some notes, Weiler, with regard to a donkey's head being 80 shekels, like what that would mean today.
Oh, I didn't.
Or what,
I didn't even think about.
just to kind of give people an idea of
That's a good point. I
how
didn't look at
severe.
that.
I think it's like $176.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right there.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. Well, that's a donkey's head for $186.
Like a donkey.
A donkey.
I saw
Donkey.
okay, speaking of donkeys, I saw something really interesting.
Are they eating the head?
I would assume so.
I would assume they would, yeah.
Because they'd be trying to use
So the
every
body's
part.
already gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They already ate it.
And like there's not really going to be meat left on
I
the
mean,
head.
it's all we got left is the head. You guys want
Some
some
soup.
food? Here, give me 80
Yeah.
shekels.
Some soup.
That's
And
crazy.
a quarter of a cab
What's a cab?
of seed
What
pods.
is it, a cob? Cob?
Cob.
I don't know.
Cab,
Is that a corn
CAB.
cob?
What's a cab?
A seed pods for 5 shekels. Quarter of a cab of seed pods. I guess that's the plan. Got to plan.
Well, now I know
something.
for next time to do back end research on what are things to help us make
Yeah.
more sense.
What are seed
My
pods?
bad. My
I'm
bad,
guessing they're seeds.
It
to,
says, I clicked the little link. It says that is probably about a quarter pound or about 100 grams.
Oh, so not a lot.
what, a quarter of a cab?
Yeah.
Okay.
So a quarter pound of seed pods.
Seed
That's
pods.
not much.
Okay.
That's not a lot.
Sheesh.
But
I
yeah,
just
the bottom
think-
line is people are hurting right here.
Well, and I think the other thing that like with
This
this
is
story
very
that got
desperate
me
times.
this
was
is
like
dark.
desperate times, but like people didn't blink an eye. And the go cook woman said to me, "Give up your son so we can eat him today." So we cooked my son and ate him. Like, wasn't like time. It wasn't like they had to think about it. They just did it.
I'm okay. I'm trying to read this here. Then he asked her, "What's the matter?" She said, "This woman said to me."
Yeah.
So there's
like
another woman.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's her
Oh,
and
so
then
she's
another woman.
distressed
She's
Yeah.
asking the
She's
king to
like,
help her out, and he's
okay,
like,
gotcha.
okay.
because this woman said, "I want to eat your son." And he's
Yeah.
like, "Hey, we're in trouble here." And he said, "What's wrong?" "This chick over here said she wants to eat my son."
So I killed him, and
So we cooked it and ate him.
Yeah. And then she didn't keep up her end of the deal and she hid
And I
her
said,
son.
give me your son so we can eat him.
yes, and then she hit him, and the
He tore his
king-
robes.
And yeah, because of mourning. And now then Elisha was just like, hey, this murderer is now trying to bring like my death because of what this woman did.
and he was blaming Elisha.
Yeah.
Why- What's the significance
because-
of the sackcloth on his body?
I think the mourning.
Why'd
It
they mention
represents that you're mourning.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but did he have him on already?
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't know.
It said they saw under his robes. He
Google it.
like he had it on already.
He tore his robes
And,
he went
and when
along
I
his
see
wall.
sackcloth, I think of a burlap sack.
So do I.
Is that
It's
what
cl-
you
it's
go?
kinda close.
I don't know. I think of Dobby the house elf wearing a freaking burlap sack of
I
a
don't know
bag.
who
That's
that
what
is.
yes, that's it.
I don't know. Who
It's
that
like
is.
not your regular clothes. It's like
Harry Potter.
oh no,
Oh my gosh.
wow.
Okay.
Okay, so
Nope.
but here's my thought: is maybe he had sackcloth on because of the state of his country, like he was just mourning what was happening.
Probably.
As a
I mean, that's a
whole.
good. That's a good.
I mean, I feel like it's underwear.
No, it's like a whole. I did
Yeah,
some research on. It's like
you
a whole
couldn't wear this
gown
all the
type.
time under your robes.
And
No,
it's like
people will
a-
go put it. People will literally tear their clothing to signify like their distress.
Okay.
And then they will don sackcloth.
The sackcloth,
or
okay.
To show
Material
that they're
to
All
make.
right.
to show they're
sense.
actually mourning. And I think it like helps people know this person, kind of like how
this person is in distress.
Right.
well, like remember back in
just
the
wears
day,
clothes.
you would wear black like your whole mourning period,
Mm-hmm.
like significantly, like you would wear clothes that would show mourning, like it'd be like that, but of that time.
Okay. Gotcha.
But a bit more extreme. And then they would be like, they could even use like sackcloth and ash too, where they would take like ash and rub
put
it all
that
over
in.
them.
Yeah.
hmm
Yeah.
So that was not too juicy, but it's one where just like the way it was
What
like,
are you
hey,
talking about?
I mean, like it is, but like,
It's way juicy.
but we're just like, go cook your
And there's
son.
dead kids in here.
Yeah, that's, I don't, so anyways. Second
And
King's
they
time.
ate them.
Yeah. I'll pass.
That's just.
Wait a minute. Second Kings.
Speaking of cannibalism,
Yeah?
Where are we going?
There's a new show.
no, I'm trying to remember where I had heard this, and I don't know if it's true or not. Where did I hear this? But it was a girl, and she was on vacation,
Okay.
and I don't even remember where I heard it to even reference it, but I just heard it like yesterday. So she was on vacation. She was with her friends, and maybe it was just like on a reel. So true or not, I don't know, but it could be
Okay.
Debatable.
debatable. So they're on vacation. She gets this guy's cute guy at the bar's number, whatnot, and he's like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Oh, I'm here with my girls." Da da da. He's like, "Let me know when you guys are done. Like when you're done hanging out tonight. If you want to like he's from the area. If you want to come to my house." First thing, probably not smart to do in a foreign country by yourself.
Yeah.
It's not smart to really do that anywhere, but we do it. We do it because
You don't know the man.
we're wild.
And so
Out here with sackcloth.
this is what go over was make sure you have sackcloth and ash on. So they get to hanging out, and she was talking to all of her girlfriends, and they're just like, you know, like, hey, probably not smart, but if you're gonna go, take this hotel key, and if something funky starts to go down, you can say like, oh shoot, I have my friends back at the hotel key.
Oh, good
I need
one.
to go.
Oh,
I
we'll
need
cover
to.
up.
I need to
Okay.
go take it. I need to leave to go take it back so they can get in. So they had like this escape clause, whatever.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
Do we know what country this was in?
they said it on the thing, but I don't
Great
remember.
Details. All right.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Keep going.
So,
Foreign
anyways,
country.
whatever. Night had come. Whatever. Kind of like way late into the morning. She was like, "Oh shoot." She just said like he felt like he was very pressuring, whatnot.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, this was like after the fact, but he just kept wanting her to
Trying
stay
to Marvin
and wanting
Gaye
her
and
to
get it
stay.
on.
I'm assuming that was already done, but this was like post that he was wanting her to like stay longer, and he just kept saying like, "Hey, why don't you stay for breakfast? Why don't you stay for breakfast?"
Oh.
And she was like, "No, I need to get back. Like I have my friend's key. I need to get back, whatnot." So
Okay.
ended up, and he was trying. Oh, he started like massaging her with like this kind of like oil, like an oil kind of thing. So here's where it gets creepy. I mean, like that's already not set up to
Oil
be a
is
great
infused
situation.
with
Yeah, right.
So she gets back to the hotel after the guy's been like being pushy or whatever, and she takes a shower really quick. But when she's in the shower, she starts like breaking out, and her skin's just like
Oh, no, the oil.
going nuts. And so they're like, "What is happening?" They get it back to the States, and they get to the doctor's office, and the doctor's like, "Where's your family? Like, we need, like, who are you here with?" No, if they get back to States, or they take her to the doctor there. Part of the story I remember, but they're like, "Who are you here with? We need to know." And they said the state that this is already in, cannibals use this oil on human skin, and it starts to deteriorate the skin, so it's easier to eat after you are cooked. And that's what was in the oil.
Gross.
There you go.
Stay for breakfast. Stay for my breakfast.
And they were
Wow.
just like,
Ew.
he kept saying, "Stay for breakfast, stay for breakfast, stay for breakfast."
You think he was about to eat her?
100%.
Wow.
If it's true.
Just right there in the hotel room.
No, she was at his house.
Oh, the house.
Yeah,
Well, that's even worse.
she left her friends to go to the
The
stranger's
house.
house.
Oh, come on, dude.
Okay, next.
Red flags. Come over to my house in a foreign country.
By yourself.
No, sir. Well, Bob's
There's
your uncle.
There's so much I could say, but I will not. I will refrain.
Okay.
All right. But we could talk about the next strange story from the Bible.
We could. I have
What do you
one
got?
that's just like small.
Okay.
Okay.
I came across this on my Devo the other day. Judges 1, 6, and 7. So there was a really evil king. His name was King Adoni-Bezek. He was a Canaanite king, and apparently he was just really terrible. He was so terrible that there were his rivals, like rival kings in other lands and stuff, when he was at war with them and battling them, and every time that he conquered them, he would have their big toe and their thumbs cut off, rendering them basically useless as warriors, right? So it's like you're not going to be able to walk properly. You're not going to be able to do anything.
You can't hold a sword.
Can't do any of that. So
disposable thumbs.
We get to some point in the story. Israelites catch up to him, right?
To the bad king?
Yes. I'll back it up to verse 5 just because it's highlighted. But it says, while at Bezek, they encountered King Adoni-Bezek, and fought against him, and the Canaanites and Perizzites were defeated.
Wow.
Adoni-Bezek escaped, but the Israelites soon captured him and cut off his thumbs and big toes.
Wah, wah.
Adoni-Bezek said, I once had 70 kings with their thumbs and big toes cut off, eating scraps from under my table. Now God has paid me back for what I did to them. They took him to Jerusalem, and he died there. That's a 4:15 a.m. read.
Wow.
For me.
Reap what you sow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some cultures call that karma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just thought that
Just
was
so they cut off his
The
toe
toe,
and his thumb.
thumb.
his big
and he
toes
died.
and his thumbs, and then he went and died.
And he died. The end.
Do you think
The
he
end.
bled out, or do you think this was like time later?
I think it was probably his time.
Probably time later.
I don't think he bled out.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
You don't think someone would bleed out from a thumb and big toes being gone?
Nope.
You can manage it.
You can?
Yeah.
I
I mean, if you just lay there and do nothing, sure.
And hold your arms up
Right.
so the blood doesn't?
Well, I mean, you can get cloth, some sackcloth, and bandage that up, stop the bleeding.
Yeah, but
Maybe a tourniquet.
just doing those things immediately is not going to you're not hitting any arteries
Yeah.
or anything.
That's true. Okay, you're right.
Yeah.
You're just in a lot of pain.
A lot of pain.
You're
Can you imagine as you're just like,
No.
it's
and
come
then you
back to
can't
me.
walk.
It's come back to me.
I wonder if he screamed, "Not the toes!"
No,
You know what I'm saying?
now
Because
my
he
thumbs.
was
Did
so
they do
used to it.
Did they do it all at once, or did they like torture him like one? I bet it was
It
one
was
at a
probably
time.
one at a time.
Probably one at a time. If I
Ugh.
had to guess. Because
I
he was
wonder how
not
they
he was
knew.
not he was not a good king.
I wonder if they heard.
He did that to 70.
And to make him
Yeah.
suffer.
Not 7 or 17. 70.
They had to have heard that this guy did this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were like,
You know what I'm saying? They
Yeah.
had to know.
100%.
the punishment's going to fit the crime today.
Yes, sir.
My gosh.
Yeah. So that was just like we said, judges and kings. Very
They're
interesting
crazy.
stories in these two books.
Byron, you've got one from Exodus for us.
Well, yeah, I've got a couple that
You've
I
got a
jotted
few.
down.
Yeah, you got-
I've got some judges.
Yeah, you tell us
couple
how
of
you
Yeah,
got
you've got a
judges.
few ones in there.
Yeah,
Well,
Chris.
this one here
Numbers.
is not one of Numbers. This one here kind of goes in line with what we talked about last week
Oh,
with
yeah.
the David and the 120 foreskins from the
Yes,
Philistines.
let's go.
Let's talk about
Exodus
foreskins.
4:24 through 26.
This is not a kid's show, by
This
the
is
way.
not a kid's
I
show.
need to remind you.
And this one, you have to discuss this to find out why, because it says at a lodging place on the way, the Lord met Moses and was about to kill him.
I feel like
Let's just let that breathe for a second.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that.
They had, I feel like, a
Because
little rocky
Moses,
relationship.
this patriarch of faith in the Old Testament,
Yeah.
because he led the Israelites across the Red Sea and across the wilderness, but
Ultimate.
the Lord met Moses and was about to kill him. But Zipporah, which is Moses' wife, took a flint knife. Now, I'm guessing a flint knife is not that. I don't know if that's sharp or dull.
It's not.
It sounds
super-
not good.
Well,
Yeah.
flint is like
Flint is what you use to start a fire.
Yeah. It's not super. You don't need a super sharp knife.
So she took a flint knife, cut off her son's foreskin, and touched Moses' feet with the foreskin. And she said, quote, "Surely you are a bridegroom of blood to me." So the Lord let him alone. He's not going to kill him anymore.
Okay, so I just Googled why are foreskins mentioned so much in the Bible?
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and
Her Google search history.
I know someone's going to be like, I don't even know what's going to.
No wonder you're still single.
All right.
Do you
So
have an
says-
answer from Mr. Google?
This is from somebody. It says, as I continue to listen to Old Testament on a podcast and attempt to learn why I'm assuming this
Not
person's
this
not a
one.
believer.
Probably this one.
Okay, yeah, maybe I'm not going to read that answer because I don't feel like that's a good one.
Oh, really?
Well, I don't think it's
Well,
coming.
where are you? In freaking Reddit? Oh, yes, she is.
There's a couple like Reddit and I bet a good one is to godanswers.org. I bet that would explain it.
So a lot of it's saying like it has to do with like the covenant with Abraham, like
Yeah.
a constant reminder of
You're my people.
you're my people.
Yeah.
This is the covenant.
This is the
a
scar
promise.
right here. This is the scar.
Well, I also just think that like that has something. It's a very if you think about it, you're removing something from a very sensitive
Place.
growing up as a
Yes.
kid, you hear that's your private parts because it's
Yeah.
private, shouldn't be shown for everybody. So I think that there's significance in that too.
Well,
where it's
sure,
like,
because God wanted to hide.
it's a vulnerable
covenant.
It's a vulnerable space.
Because if you think about a lot of the cultures back then, wore tattoos, had scarring on their face, had branding. God was like, you know what? I'm going to hide mine.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're looking at
Yeah.
right here.
Yeah, some of these answers are not
But
great.
I
like they're
so
all over the place.
There's a couple of things to mention here. And we're talking about strange stories. First of all, God was going to kill him. And I guess in context, we'd have to read the entire chapter to find out why he wanted to kill him. Next is...
At which point was Moses was
Right.
not a very... he was very reluctant
Always.
to obey God. So I can
Yes.
imagine that was like, Moses, for crying out loud.
Okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I don't know how old the son was.
Yeah.
But this sounds like a very quick thing. I'd imagine the dude had pants on.
Or
So
it was
I'm
a
just
young boy.
going through an imagine. Well, maybe that. Maybe if it's an arm baby, I kind of get it. But if it's a toddler or some teenager, I'm trying
Yeah.
to get a visual of gripping the pants down,
Or are they
grabbing the
even wearing
member.
pants? Are they just wearing like robes?
Right.
Yeah.
Are we just lifting up,
Yeah,
grabbing the
probably.
member, getting the flint, throwing it on the feet? Surely you're a bridegroom of blood to me.
Well, and I think what's so interesting is like, I feel like as a parent, my first reaction if I had to do that would be like, "Are you okay?" to my child, not "Surely you're a bridegroom of blood to me." I mean, like, but at the same time, it's such a different world.
Okay, so I just want to break that down too. Surely you, Moses, is a bridegroom. Isn't a bridegroom?
The groom.
That's the male, right? Okay. Surely Moses is my husband, right? So it's the effect of this is my son that we had together.
Yeah.
We
I
are
put it
one.
on his feet
We are
because
one.
maybe it was because that was significant because nobody's foreskin is going to touch somebody.
Right.
But you know what? It touched his feet. That means, hey, we are together.
Yeah.
And I don't know why God backed off because of that.
Maybe because of her.
That's what I was thinking of. I keep thinking of the story, fast forwarding to, couldn't tell you what book it's in, but it's in the New Testament where it's the friends who take their paralyzed friend and drop him
they
through
take
the
him
roof.
through the roof.
And a lot of times people have said, a lot of like pastors who have kind of like done messages on that story, or like, it's because of the faith of his friends.
The faith of his friends. Yeah.
And his wife is showing a proper fear and respect of God. apparently Moses
At
was
that point,
not
wasn't.
at that time.
Right. Okay.
And so, but because she is in covenant with him, that covers him, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like the two of them have their blood covenant as a married couple.
Well, it makes me also
And-
think of that New Testament verse where it also talks about like if a believing wife is with an unbelieving husband.
Unequally yoked.
Well, and it talks about how she's a covering, basically.
Okay.
Okay, I got you.
My mom actually told me that verse is taken out of context.
I was like, what'd she say about it?
I can't remember it, but
Call her
when
up.
I said something, I know I should call her, but she's probably if she answered right now, she'd be like, "Meryl, I'm busy." She'd probably
On the
she
show.
probably
That'd be
would.
great.
She probably would. She'd be like, "I have something going on," or she just wouldn't answer. But
Yeah, what'd she say about that? I want to find the verse because I'm like, that's what it made me think of too. Of like, oh, that's Old and New Testament.
Well, I remember thinking that, and then I said something like that to her,
Yeah.
and she was like, "That verse is always taken out of context. That's not what that is meant for. That is not meant to just be like an excuse or something that's okay or whatever." I can't remember what it was that she said. It really,
Well, but here's what's always interesting because I have the verse pulled up here.
Okay. The covering?
Yeah, the covering one. So it comes from 1 Corinthians 7:14 through 16. In the NIV version, it says, "For the unbelieving husband has been sanctified through his wife, and the unbelieving wife has been sanctified through her believing husband." So either it's saying, or whatever, either or. "Otherwise, your children would be unclean. But as it is, they are holy. But the unbeliever leaves. But if the unbeliever leaves, let it be so."
okay, that actually is striking a chord. I'm remembering. My mom says people are misconstruing sanctification with that being sanctified because they're married to a believer. She's like, that doesn't equal salvation. That doesn't mean that they will see their spouse in in heaven, because if they continue or whatever. But because it's like, I don't know, I guess if your spouse is a believer and you're not, at some point there should be that change where it's like you are also then a believer. But if that's the case and they remain not, and then you leave them be because they don't have salvation, they're not saved.
Yeah. Or I think where it says, but if the unbeliever leaves, they can go. They're not bound by anything because they're not a believer.
But also just let
Where
it
are they
go,
going?
because if they wanted to like divorce or
Oh,
something.
I want to get out of here.
Yeah.
I can't stand these kids
well, and I
anymore.
think just comparing it to this, where it talked about how, like it's kind of like a covering for your children. Like I say that in this way, but like how she took, the foreskin off of her son, and referencing it to here, where it's like, otherwise your children would be unclean, and that was a symbol of being clean, was having gone through the circumcision process. So I think that there's some like, I don't know, foreshadowing.
That's interesting.
maybe.
There had the covenant already taken place by this point in time.
It was before. It was
So
with
that
Abraham.
so the males
with
were already
Abraham.
getting circumcised.
Yeah.
At what age?
Wasn't it like 8 days?
Yeah, pretty young.
It was real young.
Really?
So
8
this would-
days?
I think it was like 8 days. I don't know
Oh, so
for
this.
sure.
Well, that's why I'm trying to put a timeline. So that means this son has not been through that rite yet,
Mm-mm.
and she went ahead and did it. Oh, okay.
But I would also be curious of,
Maybe that was the reason too, is like the son wasn't or hadn't been and was like
And-
too old.
Oh,
And
gotcha. Maybe
that
they
was
they
something-
maybe they forgot.
well, then I find it interesting that she did it
How
versus
you are
I feel.
Moses and forget.
That's why I wanted to kill you.
Well, and that, yeah, it could have been a thing of like, dude, you didn't circumcise your son the way I said,
You already disobeyed me because
you know?
I said.
And then
what-
the wife was like, I'll take it into my own hands,
Well-
because I think it was a male thing that would have been done, like a
strike
male
the
to a
rock
male.
once, not
Yeah.
twice, Moses.
You know what? Just I'm gonna go ahead and get you in my kingdom because you can't do any damage up here,
Yeah,
right? Meet Elijah.
yeah. Keep going. Let's do another story.
Okay. Do you mean to go talking donkey or the raping of a concubine?
Talking
Which-
donkey.
Okay,
Talking donkey.
we'll go that one first. Okay.
Feels a little
Well, yeah.
After-
it's wild.
after.
The concubine.
Okay.
Judges 19.
Oh,
In the
that
book
is a
of
wild
Numbers,
one.
there is a prophet named Balaam. And if any of you guys have been history buffs or did any kind of Sunday school when you were kids, this story was always taught. His name was Balaam. He's on the road with his donkey, and the donkey stops 3 times. Each time, Balaam is beating the crap out of this donkey. He's going to town. Just keep moving. What are you doing? Stopping. What are you doing? So apparently God had given the donkey the ability to speak, and it turns around and says, what have I done to you that you beat me 3 times? And I don't know. I guess his voice would be like that. Or would he be, what are you doing? I don't know.
Oh, I bet it was like deep. Like
what are you doing?
Yeah.
Beating me 3 times on the road. I'm just, listen, you're a little heavy back there too. It's not fair.
I like that
I
one.
feel like that one would be it. So
one's
Balaam, check this out. He doesn't appear to be surprised that his donkey's talking.
Well, I think
And he's like, and he's talking back to him. You've made a fool of me. If only I had a sword in my hand, I'd kill you right now.
Who's around?
So this guy is.
Who's around that he's like, you made a fool of me? You're the
Right.
one talking
You're
to a
right.
donkey.
Yes. The donkey says, am I not so donkey? Which you've always ridden to this day? Have I been in the habit of doing this to you?
Oh.
And of course, this is in Numbers 22, verse 30. Then the angel of the Lord appears and tells Balaam that the donkey has saved Balaam's life. So we got an angel that appears and says, hey, Balaam, this donkey just saved your life.
3 times.
The donkey saw me and turned away from me 3 times. If it had not turned away, I would have certainly killed you by now.
Sheesh.
But I would have spared it. The angel of the Lord says. Balaam apologizes for his behavior.
My bad.
My bad, bro.
My bad.
Balaam must be baffled over why God is threatening his life. And I got this from an article. Swenson noted, especially since Balaam had not carried through with harming the Israelites prior to the donkey incident, a Moabite leader named Balak had been asking Balaam to curse the Israelites. Despite the vast amount of gold the Moabites offered Balaam for the job, Balaam obeys God and spares the Israelites.
You know what it makes me think of?
I'm just like, the angel was, I was going to kill you.
Mm-hmm. And the donkey saw what you couldn't see.
I was going to kill you.
Mm-hmm.
This is a strange story. Why?
Because we don't hear a lot. Well, there's the angels who demolished Sodom and Gomorrah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then you got this guy. It's just interesting because it's like in Old Testament, today we think of angels more as like protecting, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Not really necessarily that they're out there wiping people out, Except in like the Old Testament. So that's kind of an interesting.
Well, they're like warriors back. I mean, not back in the day. They still are, but.
Yeah, there are years in the room.
Yeah,
here.
I think.
Excuse me.
I think
I know
because
they're probably
we're
crammed in here right now. Like, oh, can
Well,
you guys
sure.
get a different space?
Yeah.
Can we get an actual studio? Can someone turn the fan on?
And they're like, actually, they didn't write that down correctly about Balaam. Actually, it was 4 times. I think it has to do with Christ. When Christ came on the scene, everything changed because we're in grace, and I think that's why a lot of this stuff we hear here is kind of held back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because there is a time, like Scripture is very clear that when Jesus comes back, he's not coming back as like the meek little lamb. Like he's coming back as a freaking warrior.
Dude's on a horse. He's got his name tattooed on his thigh.
Like he's coming back ready to
sword
be
in his mouth.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that stands out to me about this, and it makes me think of, is how many times we get frustrated, like if things don't go our way, or if we run into traffic, or if we miss our exit, or just all these little things that we don't know things
that
don't
frustrate
us,
because
but
you're
don't
used
go
to
according to our
things
plan.
like especially routine stuff.
Like what on earth? But I'm thinking like the donkey's like, bro, you've always ridden me. I've never done this to you. Like, chill. And
obviously
something's
here.
And it makes me think of like when that happens to us in life, what's happening that we can't see. Like
That's a good perspective.
That's
right
what it makes
there.
me think of.
Yeah.
We should always step back and just kind of reflect on that.
I think of all of the times, something that is interesting about my dog. I have a Bernese Mountain Dog. And something that I read about that breed in particular, and it's very true, is they don't take to someone being harsh or firm with them. They don't take it very well. And I mean, they deal with it like as a puppy or whatever, and you're like training them and stuff. But like as a grown adult dog, any time I am in a bad mood and he's just making me mad and frustrating me, or, you know, dinking around like he does sometimes.
Sometimes he does.
And if I get like strongly worded with him, or especially like if he's on his leash or whatever, and I'm like, come on, Carl, like, oh, gotta go.
His name's Carl, by the way.
Let's go.
Gotcha.
And he will stop and he will bear down and he will, with all of his weight, not move. And it's like, because
he's not small.
Yeah, no, he's not small. He's 100 pounds.
So what's he doing?
He just doesn't, he like hates it when I get like that. So then he just refuses to comply with anything that I want him to do.
The harshness.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Because it's interesting because like just looking at that, I'm like, that just reminds me of that, because anytime that I've been the ugly side of Maryl when she's frustrated or whatever, and I've been frustrated at him and like, you know, projecting that onto my poor dog, who he's just like, I'm just trying to be outside and enjoy the weather. Yeah, I'm just trying to find a good spot, like whatever. But it's a check for me. It's like, dude, look at you. You're out of control right now.
This has an effect.
Like, check your attitude.
Yeah.
Right?
It makes me think of, there's a time.
And it's not until usually I'm like, all right, Carl, I'm really sorry. And I just get like really gentle with him.
Kinda soothing.
Like,
and then he's.
and then like, you know, offer my hands out for him to like come to me, and like he'll come to me and we make up and give him a
He's
little
so
scratch
It's
on the head.
interesting that
He's
so
so
at the
cute.
time when you're in the ugly Meryl space, you're not really aware of it until he reminds you.
Yeah, pretty much.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have to go, I'm nice, Meryl.
Yeah,
That's
like,
kinda
I need
cool,
to check
though.
myself. I need to check
Yeah.
my attitude. And that's it was just kind of like, it seemed like a similar parallel
Yeah.
right there.
That's cool. I love Carl so much.
The donkey was like, hey,
Bump this.
Yeah.
He's like, you need to calm.
I'd say don't beat
down.
your donkeys. That's what
Don't
I'd
beat
say.
your donkeys. Okay,
Out of
I
this.
did see this. This was on a reel.
I don't know
but
what
it
I would do
said-
if my animal actually started talking
If Carl,
to me, though.
okay,
Oh,
imagine
that
you get
would
mad
be.
and Carl turned around and just said something back to you.
I'd be like, am I high? What's
Like, like if he did the cowering thing and then
Yeah.
he started speaking,
Yeah.
like, Meryl, why are you so mad at me?
I would
What-
crap myself.
What did I do?
Yeah.
Is that how you think Carl sounds?
Yeah, what did I do? I mean,
Probably
you
pretty
got the
close.
leash on.
I'm not going anywhere.
Probably pretty close.
It was close. I saw this really neat reel where it talked about, so for those of you who aren't familiar with the story of Jesus, before he's crucified, he's brought into town on a donkey.
Mhm.
And this reel said, do you ever notice that donkeys actually have a cross pattern on their back? And I thought that was actually really cool. And they were just
Wow.
showed
Yeah.
pictures of donkeys from the top. And all their fur is typically in a slightly different color, and it goes down the sides and straight through the middle. And it's almost a very similar cross pattern on the
Stop.
back of donkeys' backs.
Stop.
I was like, what? Yeah. I know.
I
that's
wonder
not
if
the
it had
sign.
always been there or if it changed after that, after the ride.
I don't know.
What?
I just went to go drink water and the lid was on.
Okay. Are we done with the donkey?
I
Um,
was curious, like,
we
what
could-
happened with the angel then? Did you just left because
I think he probably just left.
apologized?
Yeah, probably like, my bad.
Wow.
yeah, he just left.
So-
I think he was like, "Hey, I was going to kill you. Donkey just saved your life, so I'm on to bigger and better
Deuces.
things
But
now."
then here's what I'm also curious, because it says like, I want to know why he was going to kill him, because then it goes into where it says prior to the donkey incident, like the Moabite leader was asking him to curse Israelites, but he didn't do it. So I'm kind of a little curious on like, why was the angel going to kill him? I could see if like maybe he cursed the Israelites where he's like, I was sent to
something
do this, but
I need to go back and read this entire chapter and get some context.
Yeah, that's interesting.
There's always a lot of why is somebody going to kill somebody from the other realm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
I feel like you read that a lot.
Okay, we have time for maybe like one more.
Yeah. Do you see?
One?
So, well, I could go through. It's either judge it. We could either talk about the tent pole in the brain or the king that was eating grass.
Let's do the king with the grass. Or what do you think?
I want to dig into that more actually. So let's do the tent pole because
the tent pole.
Part 3. We'll have to go into part 3 because I saw this before we started recording, and I was like, hold on, I need.
I guess
which one? What Judges 19?
The Daniel.
The Daniel.
Oh yeah, that one's crazy.
I need to get more context.
Okay, let's do the Judges one.
Well, Judges 4, as we talked about, and this is your girl Deborah in Judges. You know what I'm talking about? Y'all talked about y'all talked about her before. This is New International Version in Judges 4:21.
Have we talked about Deborah?
I thought y'all have before.
We might have just mentioned her.
I thought y'all talked about women of the Bible.
We have, but I don't know if Deborah was in there.
No.
Shirley
wasn't either.
Well, we've talked.
Wow.
3 Kings 5.
Guys, I'm really proud of myself on that one.
That was pretty quick.
Thank
you.
Don't call me Shirley.
I've been watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine, so I've been a little bit with it.
Wow. How many times have you went through it?
This will be, I've seen all the way through once. I'm working on my all the way through the second time, but I've just rewatched a couple episodes.
All right.
You're really off the rails.
Digress.
Okay.
Judges 4:21. But Jael, Heber's wife, or Heber, however you want to.
I say Heber.
Heber's wife picked up a tent peg and a hammer and went quietly to him while he lay fast asleep, exhausted. She drove the peg through his temple into the ground, and he died.
That's it.
So, context for this. This is the story of Deborah. Deborah had told someone, the name is escaping me. This was actually in my Bible Devo the other day.
Ooh, nice.
But she was basically saying, no, it's actually really interesting.
I love
that one. Now it's coming to me. But she had told someone to do something. They did not, and she goes, okay, well, the victory will be yours, but at the hands of a woman. And this is what happened.
That's what happened. Okay.
This was quietly into him. This was okay.
Can somebody pull up the Judge's context? But Jael, so Jael's the one that picked up the tent peg, which is Heber's wife.
Yes, and
she
went
drove
quietly
it through
somebody
him.
else's
Who is
head.
it?
It's
who's him?
Hold on, let me.
Sorry, I should have put the full context in there.
I think what's interesting.
I believe.
I always thought that was interesting because it was like, right into the ground and you're done.
And your head's pinned to the ground.
Yeah, it's like, hey, everybody, look, I got my tent up.
Or just the tent who fell down. You know who did it because they took on the
right.
Okay, so
what's it say?
We'll just start reading.
Maryl.
Deborah. Judges 4.
She was a judge, right?
Judges 4, we're starting it. She was a prophet who was judging Israel at the time. She would sit under the palm of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel in the hill country of Ephraim, and the Israelites would go to her for judgment. One day she sent for Barak, son of Abinoam, who lived in Kadesh in the land of Naphtali. She said to him, if this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, commands you. So she's telling Abinoam, call out 10,000 warriors from the tribes of Naphtali and Zebulun and Mount Tabor. I will call out Sisera, a commander of Jabin's army, along with his chariots and warriors to the Kishon River. There I will give you victory over him. And Barak told her, I will go, but only if you go with me. She says, very well, I will go with you, but you will receive no honor in this venture, for the Lord's victory over Sisera will be at the hands of a woman. And so Deborah went with Barak to Kadesh. At Kadesh, Barak called together the tribes of Zebulun and Naphtali, and 10,000 warriors went up with him. Deborah also went with him.
Okay.
Now Heber, the Kenite, a descendant of Moses' brother-in-law, Hobab. whatever.
Yeah, something.
Him.
Had moved away from the other members of his tribe and pitched his tent by the oak of Zananim near Kadesh. When Sisera was told that Barak, son of Abinoam, had gone up to Mount Tabor, he called for 900 of his iron chariots and all his warriors, and they marched from Harosheth Haggim to the Kishon River. And then Deborah said to Barak, "Get ready this day. The Lord's going to give you victory over Sisera, for the Lord is marching ahead of you." So Barak leads his 10,000 warriors down to the slopes of Mount Tabor into battle. When Barak attacked, the Lord threw Sisera and all his chariots and warriors into a panic. Sisera leapt down from his chariot and escaped on foot.
That Sisera guy.
Yeah, Sisera.
Okay.
So then Barak
escaped.
chased the chariots and the enemy army all the way and killing all of Sisera's warriors. Not one was left alive. So Sisera's on the run by himself.
Boom.
Meanwhile, he ran to the tent of Jael, the wife of Heber, because Heber's family was on friendly terms with King Jabin of Hazor, which is who Sisera was serving at the time. So Jael went out to meet Sisera and said, "Oh, come into my tent, sir. Come on in. Don't be afraid." So he went into her tent. She covers him with a blanket.
He's exhausted.
Yeah, please give me some
Sounds
water.
a little
He
bit like
said,
stay
"I'm
for
thirsty."
breakfast.
Please give me some water. He said, "I'm thirsty." So what do? She does what people do for their enemies, do something nicer. She gives him milk from a leather bag and then covered him again. "Stand at the door of the tent," he told her. "If anybody comes and asks you if there's anyone here, say no." But then when he fell asleep from exhaustion, Jael quietly crept up with a hammer and tent peg. Then she drove it into his temple and into the ground, and he died.
Boom.
And that would have given them ultimate
Caesarean.
victory.
Yep.
At that
And then
point.
when Barak came looking for him, Jael went out to meet him, and she goes, "I'll show you the man you're looking for." So he followed her into the tent, finds Sisera lying dead with the tent peg through his head.
Sheesh.
There he is.
Mm-hmm.
And where's Heber?
Out fighting, I would guess.
He's out there.
My guess would be battle.
Wife's back at the tent cooking
Mhm.
stuff. Dude runs into the tent. "Hey, give me some milk."
She's
Oh,
like,
by the way, here's a tent peg.
cracks her knuckles. I'll handle this
Oh,
one.
she's a watch this.
It's amazing that she knew these people.
Yeah.
She knew Caesarean.
Well, I think what's so interesting, and it's making me think,
She knew this enemy.
Yeah.
like how people are very much, and yes, there was like
Because
very
her
much
husband was on friendly terms
with this guy.
Right.
Yeah.
And it sounds like from the tent, it sounds like there were kind of
She must not have shared the same
Gypsies?
opinions.
kind of moving
Probably.
with people, because it sounds like it was a camp. They take it down, put it up.
Nomads.
Little,
Yeah.
wandering nomads.
You were saying?
Oh no, it just I kind of lost my thought.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. No big deal. Oh, I just got it back. But
Go.
how like throughout scripture there's so many places where like just showing like how like God loves women and uses women mightily. And so sometimes I think like when people look at scripture, they think like, oh, it's not. He's like very much like this patriarchy, like, hates
Yeah.
women. I don't know if I'm using that word right,
Patriarchy.
but like very
Yeah, it
much
is,
like
yeah.
the very first
Patriarchal.
yeah,
Yeah.
but like he uses
Down
women
the patriarchy.
all the time. Like one of the very first evangelists was a woman. Like this woman, like Deborah was a I mean, like he uses women all of the time throughout scriptures, and I just think of that too.
Yeah.
Whatever that's worth.
Well,
Sheesh,
2 cents.
that's a good one. That's my 2 cents.
well, I mean, we've got more, but I think it's a part
I think-
3.
I think it's
Yeah,
a part 3.
I mean,
We're
this
gonna have
other
to
one
go part
in Judges, the raping of the concubine and then cutting her up and sending her out 12 pieces to all the tribes.
Okay. Well,
Wow.
we're gonna have to-
we could start part 3 with that one.
Yeah,
Sheesh.
for sure.
We've got
You just spoiler alert.
yeah.
That is, yeah. Well, I mean,
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
spoilers.
Spoilers.
Because it's coming.
It's coming.
There's some strange stories in the Bible.
There are.
There are, turns out.
Well, guys, thank you so much for listening, and we hope you got something out of that today. We love y'all.
Bye.
Bye.